Captain's log, stardate 54145.7. The Monarch is in orbit over a Cardassian world of Tulak 4. In an effort to help in the reconstruction efforts, Lieutenant Commander Degras and his away team are on the surface of the planet assisting in that very effort. While the Cardassian people may not be used to Federation assistance at this time, I figured this would be a good chance to prepare Degras for his upcoming bridge officer's test. End log. As the log stated, the crew of the Monarch, the away team, is currently on the surface of a Cardassian planet. The planet individual, just give you some background real quick, is a colony world for the Cardassian people. It's primarily been ignored for the better part of a year or so. Pretty much, probably over a year, ever since during the war was in full swing 2 years ago. But with that, the away team beams down to the surface of the planet. And I'm assuming everyone that is currently here is part of that away team.
Cool. And so you mentioned that we're repairing what exactly?
You're offering aid to the planet.
Offering aid. Gotcha.
Yes, to this Cardassian colony. You will know the leader of the colony is Governor Tolik. Or Thorlik. No, actually.
Okay.
Trollik. Yeah, Trollik. Sorry.
Cool.
The planet in question is mostly arid. Lots of desert, low vegetation. But Commander, you're in charge.
Okay, so I'm going to assume we've been briefed on what kind of aid we're offering to the planet, correct?
The aid is sporadic. It is, at this point, whatever the colony needs assistance with. They've been primarily ignored, so if they need supplies, it's our job to figure out what supplies they need, see if we can't replicate that, or schedule ships to deliver those supplies.
Okay, so this is like just the first trip, basically. So there's no continuing resupply or anything. Gotcha.
Sir, probably there to see Trolloc, I guess, to
Yeah.
set up what they need or whatever.
Yep. Sounds good. All right, so we're on the surface. Do we see anything around us? I mean, are we in any inhabited area or anything like that?
You being in the center of the colony, from what you can tell, the colony is made up of metal. There are some other buildings that are more stucco in nature, using the kind of terrain as an advantage. You can tell just by the way some of the metal buildings look, were probably scavenged parts from a vessel of some kind.
Can we tell what kind of vessel?
More than likely, it looks Cardassian in origin.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to start off by identifying, the nearest person I can find and ask them where we could find Governor Trolek.
For the most part, as you kind of look around, they seem to just kind of ignore you.
Okay.
Emotions of the people.
Displeased.
Do they seem like they're hostile to us, or do they just seem like they have more important things to deal with?
Uh, they particularly, at least the counselor will tell you, or at least get this emotion, like they don't really want you here.
Gotcha. So I'm going to turn to the counselor and say, Counselor, do you think that we might have a problem while we're down here?
She says, I don't sense any violent emotions. She says they just seem displeased with the situation. Maybe we should just make haste and try to find someone within the government, local colony government, and proceed to Trolek, she says.
Uh, Agreed. I'm going to turn to the rest of the away team and tell them to stay on guard, be mindful. We don't seem like we're necessarily welcome here, at least by the everyday people. So yeah, be mindful and be polite as well. And we'll turn and head on down and see if we see any government people or any official structures or anything that looks like some sort of semblance of government here.
Insight, security, or command difficulty of 1.
Okay.
And anyone can roll on this or assist if they want.
Sweet, I'll assist. Insight command.
Yes.
Actually, Casey, what's your insight security score?
Uh, 1 sec. Insight's not very high. I don't think.
Yeah,
Okay.
neither is mine.
14 total.
Okay, so I've got 12. So yeah, why don't you take the lead role and
Okay.
counselor can assist.
Observation for a focus.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Was that a difficulty 1? Sorry.
Difficulty 1. Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
It's 3 momentum gained. Casey, you notice that there is a particular building due west that has 2 guards standing in front of it.
Okay. I will point that out to the commander.
The commander will take a look and begin walking towards that building, towards the guards.
Okay. You approach the guards. The guards in question, they stop you and they go, "State your business, Starfleet."
We're here to see what we've been told is the governor of this planet, Governor Trolek. He should be expecting us. We're here to discuss establishing aid.
We need no help from the Federation. You can go back to your puny ship where you belong.
Well, we wouldn't want to disappoint Governor Trolek. So I think it's best that we discuss with him and or her and let them decide. Don't you think that's best?
Presence command difficulty 1.
Oh gosh, you're gonna make me do this roll.
I am.
Uh-oh. So I have a focus in persuasion.
That
Would
will
that work?
apply.
Awesome. Counselor, do you want to puff up your chest and assist me on this one?
Sure,
No, I'm kidding.
I will. Puff the chest up. Command presence.
It's my forte, sir.
Persuasion. There you go. There's another 2 tonight.
Oh, nice.
How are you assisting though?
Vocally.
By saying what?
She'll say the sooner that we see Trolek, the sooner we'll be going home, she says. And then you won't have to worry about us, and I'll try to be joking about it and charismatic and persuasive.
All right. Fine. Very well. May enter.
And without saying another word, I guess we'll cross the threshold and enter.
You enter the room. It's not the room, the building. It's not very big. You can definitely see parts of a hull that has been ripped apart from a vessel and welded back together. You do notice that one of the Cardassian guards followed you in. As you approach, it's kind of big, long room. At the end of the room is a typical Cardassian table. Looks like it used to be a captain's chair at one point that the governor is sitting in. Beside him is a female, a female Cardassian. You would presume to be his assistant of some kind. As he's looking over a pad, and is like, yes, have them get this done. So he hands the pad, and she nods and proceeds to exit the room. He goes, Starfleet is here. How quaint. What brings you to this humble wasteland?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it a wasteland. It looks like everyone's hard at work rebuilding and attempting to do well. So don't think you give your people enough credit. We have been commanded to render aid, to come here and see if there's any way that we can help rebuilding efforts, and otherwise see if there's a way that we can work together to do what needs to be done. Have you been told to expect us?
I have, but I have no interest in accepting your assistance. The Cardassian people do not need Federation, let alone Starfleets, to interfere in our affairs. We have gone by these past 10 years just fine on our own, and we will continue for the next 10 to 100 years. You can go about your business. I will not force you to leave this world, but do not linger too long.
The commander is going to turn to his colleagues and kind of furrow his brow a little bit and turn back and say, well, we'll be sure to not cause any trouble, and we would appreciate, though, Are there any pressing concerns at the moment?
None that we
Seems
can't solve ourselves.
well. While I don't doubt that you can solve any of the problems that you encounter yourselves, it would be a shame to, waste any of our talents. We can help chip in, and it would be interesting for you to, how do I put this? It would be good for your career to ensure that any aid is rendered and any anything that needs to be done is done very quickly and very efficiently. I understand that the Cardassian High Command is putting a particular focus on rebuilding efforts, and it would behoove you to ensure that you stand out among other people near your station.
The new civilian government doesn't know what they're doing. In time, the Union will rise again and will become enemies once again. Lieutenant Commander, I'm presuming.
Well,
Do
we
not
don't
know.
look. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, finish.
I was going to say we're only here to render aid, and
She says, the sooner we help you, she says, the sooner you can return to your former glory. She'll joke.
Charming.
Again.
But as you see, this is probably going to be the height of my career.
She
oh,
says,
it's a pity.
what's holding you back? She says as she looks around at the ragged looking building. Mr. Trolek, she says, what's holding you back?
Nothing.
Your career?
And my career is not that of the military anymore. It's civilian. I have been appointed the governor of this humble colony, and I tend to run into the best of my abilities. And from what I say is, it does not need or require Starfleet aid.
But is there anything that you require, she says, to make this more hospitable for yourself?
Unless you can bring me a vast quantity of shipment of Cardassian luxuries, I don't think you can help. And even then, I don't think I would take it from such individuals as yourself.
And do we know from pre-arrival anything that these people might need? Or can I make an insight roll from walking around, seeing what they need? Like maybe they need fresh water, or maybe they need certain type of supplies, just from
You would have to
the walking
explore.
around.
You would have to explore the colony. You didn't really get a good look at it on the way into the governor's
Okay, and
office.
there's no information pre-game. Okay.
Not really. It's just the colony's been neglected for the past 2 years since the Dominion War started. Um, it's the colonies had to make do on their own for the most part.
Okay. So Degras will turn to the governor and say, very well. We will be out of your hair shortly. However, if you would do us the honor, we would really appreciate a tour of the colony. Maybe your assistant could render the tour and just give us the quick lay of the land. We'd be very appreciative.
She's far too busy to be bothered with you. As for myself, I have other duties to attend to. There's nothing restricted here. Just don't bug my people. Or I should put it, don't get in their way. But you're free to roam.
Very well.
I would
Uh,
suggest a restaurant, but we don't have any.
well, thank you for your hospitality. I assume that if we have any further questions, we can find you here.
You assume correct.
How long have you been here, Governor Trolloc?
5 years. Cardassian time.
Perhaps you'd like a tour of our ship to spend some time in some different type of setting, she says, other than this colony. A very nice
I'm
amenities.
far too busy to be indulged by you, Starfleet. Please, I have other matters to tend to. You can go.
We'll take the hint or the direct statement. Thank you for your time. And we'll turn and walk out.
All right. You exit the, I should say, the government building, the only one. And yeah, like I said, there are other structures about. You see people kind of walking around, carrying various supplies or tools.
Okay.
He's very prideful, she says. She won't say that in his company, but once they're outside.
Extremely prideful. And unfortunately, I was hoping he'd be a little more corrupt than he appears to be. We could make use of that impulse, but I guess we're left to our own devices out here. So the lieutenant commander is going to turn to Nadan, Casey, and the counselor and say, I'd like you three to go and explore a little bit. Be in constant communication, but if we're going to be left to our own devices to identify how we can aid these people, then we'll have to set about it. So observe, interact, don't get in the way, as the governor said, and see where we can be helpful. And be sure to report back.
Are you heading back to the ship, sir?
No, me and Marora are going to also do a little bit of a walkabout and see what we can find as well.
Do you,
Which way are you going? Just so that we don't wind up duplicating efforts.
Yeah, so I was actually waiting to hear that. GM, I'm assuming that we're, on a road or something resembling it.
Something like it. Yeah, you beamed in the town center. The actual place where the government building is it at the town center. It's got a very circular design, so any direction you're gonna eventually run into each other at some point. In the distance, though, like as you look online, it's not a very big colony. But you do notice that they do have some sort of like perimeter defense systems in place in certain parts.
Okay. Do we know anything else about this planet, like the flora, fauna, any dangers?
The Cardassians did not give a whole lot of detail on it. It's all you know from like just the gist of the sensors, it's sparse. Well, not sparse, but there are pockets of some dense vegetation, while most other areas are very arid. The Cardassian chose to settle in a very arid region, just because they like warmer climates.
Sure. Okay. Nadan, be sure to take a few scans. Try to be as curious as possible. The Cardassians didn't let us know too much about this planet, and both for our sakes and for the Federation, just be sure to gather as much scientific information as you can while we're here.
Yes, sir. Curiosity is one of my strong suits, so I'll.
Excellent. Casey, keep an eye out. We're obviously in what used to be hostile territory, but the perimeter defenses mean that there may be something out there that we're not aware of that they have to defend the city from. So keep your ear to the ground and try to look out for any security situations that might arise.
Don't worry, they'll be safe with me.
And counselor, as I said, I want you to go with these two and try to learn as much as you can about the colony, and also try to learn as much as you can about how the people view the governor. He seems detached from the people, and I want to get a good understanding of what the people think of him, and just generally how they view the situation on the ground here.
She nods her head. She says, there might be more commonality, she says, with the governor and the people. They all seem to have a great pride, wanting to do it themselves. She says, perhaps setting up a ground zero, with food or some basic supplies, maybe a table somewhere.
Well,
I mean, so that
counselor.
maybe
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so maybe we don't look like we're just wandering around. We're actually bringing something in goodwill. We probably should have brought a gift, she says, for a Cardassian governor. She says that might have helped, or it might have done the opposite. She says, just the same. She says, I'd recommend. She says, people being on alert, like you said.
My only thoughts about that is these are proud people, and it's very possible that we could insult them by bearing gifts and immediately going into the situation like they need our assistance. So we'll keep that in our back pocket. If we don't find anything by going out and about and getting the lay of the land, then we'll have them come to us by bringing supplies and setting up a booth, if you will.
She nods her head. She says, maybe the captain can work on talking to the governor about visiting the ship. She says, I think if we convince one of their leaders, then we can maybe convince the people. Convincing the people on our own, she says, might undermine one of the leaders. She says, but just the same, she says, we'll do what you ask.
Well, I think that's an excellent suggestion. I'll ask the captain. Okay, so the lieutenant commander is going to suggest that wherever we're pointing to outside of this government building, the three are going to go to the right, and Degras and Aurora will proceed to the left. See what we say.
All right. Start with the three. As you're walking through the city, you notice that there's a little bit of disrepair in some of the housing complexes. But you do notice a young child standing outside of a building, which looks to be a clinic, as she is coughing. The a younger Cardassian woman comes out, pulls the young child inside, and she kind of stops for a second and looks at the three of you. She doesn't really sign or anything like that. She's just like kind of a relieved look in a way as she turns inside to treat her patient.
I will mention to Casey that a care provider, she said, would be a good place to start. She says they would be at the heart of any issues, she says, in the colony, and they'd probably most likely be willing to help or accept help since they're caregivers.
I would tend to agree, Counselor.
Does that facility look like it's guarded at all?
And it's not.
Okay.
Like the governor did say that there weren't any restricted areas, so we're good to go in, I assume.
I'll suggest making our way over to the healthcare looking house or building or whatever it is.
You approach the clinic. As you walk in, you see that the clinic's actually quite packed with individuals with various ailments. There's a couple. You pretty look like nurses, and then the one individual that you saw earlier, she kind of speaks up, like, "I'll be with you in a moment," as she's checking over the child.
She says that to us, or she says that to somebody else?
As she says that to you.
Okay. Does there seem to be some sort of common ailment? Can I make a roll, see if there's a common ailment amongst the people?
Not visually. I what I kind of is better is like it's various. Some people look like they have burns or broken, limbs. Um, some are coughing. It's sporadic ailments. And some look just fine and they're just being looked over. So
I'll be patient.
anyone else want to look at something in there or
I'm good to wait to talk to the doctor. Or the presumably doctor. Hopefully they have a doctor.
a few moments pass by. She hands the little girl some medication from what you can see and gives her a little pet talk and then pats her on the back as she helps her down from the diagnostic table and she walks off. She slowly approaches you and she goes, "I am Dr. Niski.
Hello,
What
Dr.
brings
Niski.
Starfleet here?"
I'm Counselor Dye, and this is it Lieutenant Casey? Lieutenant Casey. We're from the starship
I believe Nadon's with you as
Monarch.
well.
Monarch. She'll also introduce Nadon. She'll look back at her. She says, "We're here to provide aid, and we're taking a look around to try to assess and see how we could help your people. Although we've been met with quite a deal of pride just from the local governor and some of the general population. She says, we are here just to help."
Well, you have to forgive my fellow citizens. They are not very trusting of the Federation in general. As you presume, our government pursued you guys as hostile invaders, and warmongering people. The tools of propaganda among Cardassia.
Is there something that we can help you with? Bring aid from our ship to help. She looks around.
Well,
Your clinic?
could use a new diagnostic bed. Several medical supplies would be wonderful. We are running quite low. There hasn't been a shipment, and I really can't remember. Or if you can fix my lovely scanner over there, it would be quite helpful.
She says if you could put a list together, she says we could get to work on that. She says we are a little bit timid, although about
Unfortunately,
the
I've been told not to accept your help unless you go through the governor.
yes, the governor, of course. She says, is there?
But I will be more than happy to give you a list.
She says a list just the same would be nice. She says, and then we can seek approval to bring it to your aid. She says the governor. She says, do you know the governor?
I do.
Any type of help, she says, with bringing him around, she says, would be appreciated. Or any type of recommendation. She says, we're new to this colony and we want to tread lightly and we want to help people. So any aid, she says, in helping us do that without disrupting or further frustrating the people since they've been through quite an ordeal would be greatly appreciated.
The governor has always been a very stubborn man. Clean to his ego is the only thing I can say. It's a hard man to read sometimes. After all, he is a former goal of the Cardassian Union, as he so triumphantly likes to remind everybody from time to time.
Does he have any family in the colony? A wife, children?
No, they were all killed a year ago on Cardassia.
Is there anyone else that speaks for the people in the community?
No, it's just the governor.
Also, she says, are there other facilities like school or
We have.
any type of other facilities, she says, that you think could use our help?
I'm not one to speak. You might want to go see Moss Egret. He runs the. He's a botanist that runs the local farm. He might be having some trouble. I know he and his workers come in from time to time complaining, but the woes of a new colony, you could say.
And his name again was Mas Agnet?
Agate. Or
Agate.
Asget. Or Asget.
Moss Asget, right? Moss Asget, homie. Okay. Is there a local city council, or does the governor
The governor
pretty
runs
much?
everything. Him and his assistant. There
And one
are
more thing.
individuals
He
that are in
says,
charge of the different facilities that we meet with them to discuss our concerns and what we need. Usually he does a good job at trying to get supplies when he can here, but we make do with what we can.
she nods her head. She says, if we could get a list, she says, I know that you're quite busy. She says that would be very helpful. Of course, we won't bring anything down until we have approval.
Well, as a matter of fact, I will give you the list that I was going to give the governor. It has everything I need on it. Um, do you want the list?
Yep. Yes, she does. She'll get the list from her.
She walks over to what appears to be a very, very small office, more like a closet. Opens a drawer, grabs a Cardassian pad, and hands it to you. This is everything. If you can even get a small portion of that, that would be more than helpful.
I will be sure to return your patch, she says. Is there any type of local establishment? A bar?
No, we are far too small for that.
She nods her head. How many people are in the colony? Just out of curiosity, Rex.
There's only about 6,000 of us, give or take. A few
That's a lot of people.
hundred.
Okay. Cool. She'll look to Casey to see if he has any questions.
Do Doctor, do you require any personnel assistance? You need a hand with any of the patients here?
No, this is about as busy as it usually is. People being careless
Of course.
and occasionally treating the common cold. And as you look around, you only see there's probably like 6 or 7 people in here.
Right. Cool. That's all I have.
Yeah, then we'll probably make the exit. Find Moss Asget.
All right. Back to yep. Back
I also
to
mentioned, sorry, that I also mentioned to Casey that they probably could use with some sort of bar or something like that. She said that would be a good way of rallying the people to ideas and be able to relieve the anxiety and such.
I'll simply respond that Cardassians are notoriously dour people, and it doesn't surprise me that they hadn't yet considered entertainment.
Degras and Mora. As you're walking around, you kind of notice the same thing. There are several buildings that are kind of in need of repair just by the naked eye. You come up to, you see one guy kind of yelling at a couple other ones. Be careful with that. Don't drop it because there's a last one. He's looking at 2 workers on some scaffolding repairing one of the housing units in the area.
So Degras is going to stop and turn to Marora, and say to Marora, does that look stable to you?
I would say no, sir.
About how many individuals do you think a structure like that could hold?
How many did you say we're on there right now, GM?
There's 2.
I would say I think it's probably already overmaxed as is. I wouldn't really go any higher than they have at the moment.
Well, it looks like this crew might be good for us to ask them a few questions, and we'll walk up to, I guess, the foreman.
Okay.
Say, hi. We were just observing the work on this structure that you were building here. I'm just trying to prompt him to kind of get him talking a little bit.
Kind of looks. Oh. Starfleet, huh? You're here to offer your assistance.
Well, in the spirit of repairing relations after, well, you know, we've been ordered to come down and see if there's anything that we can do to lend a helping hand and, really begin to mend fences between our two peoples.
Well, if you really want to help, you could use some self-stealing stem bolts.
Degras, Degras, not quite understanding if that's an easy ask or not, is going to turn to Aurora and say, well, I have my engineering experts here with me. It just so happens. I'm sure he would be absolutely interested to hear everything about the structure that you're building and learn some of the techniques that you Cardassians use to construct magnificent structures like this.
We're not building anything, more like repairing. These structures keep falling apart due to the sandstorms that we get frequent around here sometimes.
How frequent are these sandstorms?
They come about every... Depends on the season, but I get 2 or 3 during particular during the summers.
And I'm assuming they're quite violent to be knocking down structures like this.
Well, these structures are old.
Well, has anyone been injured?
Many people get injured around here, Lieutenant. Sorry. I don't know your name.
I'm Lieutenant Commander Degras. He's going to turn and say, this is Aurora, you're a lieutenant, correct?
Lieutenant Commander.
Lieutenant Commander. Okay, just want to make sure. And this is Lieutenant Commander Aurora, my engineering specialist.
I'm Yakri.
And you are?
Yakri.
Yakri. Okay. Yep. I'm sorry, Jim. You said.
Can I use my tricorder to kind of get an idea of what the structure is made out of? If there's any major faults that we need to worry about?
Yeah. Reason plus engineering, difficulty of 1.
And GM, you said his name was Yakri?
Yep, Yakri.
Okay.
Cardassian names are weird, and I'm trying to pronounce it the best I can.
No worries. Just want to make sure I heard it correctly.
There's an R in there, but I'm not pronouncing the R because it just sounds weird.
And can I use my extra momentum that I just got since our momentum's full? What can I use my extra momentum for that could help me right now?
Well, it's a difficulty 1. If you want to spend momentum, you can spend 1 momentum to roll another dice, so you would be rolling 3 if you want to do that.
No. Well, I already rolled and I got 2 successes, and I now have 5.
Sorry,
momentum now.
You're at 6 actually. So, because it was a difficulty 1. With the momentum you gain, though, you can ask questions after I give you the answer if there's any questions you might have from what I give you. The structure is definitely what appears to be carved out of a old Cardassian transport ship, from what you can tell, at least by the metallurgy. and the hull plating that Cardassians typically use. It's been cut up and then pieced together and welded, and you know.
Are there any major like fault lines or anything that that this whole structure may potentially just collapse under its own weight?
No, it's fairly sound. It's the from what you can tell by the scans itself, that the sandstorms appear to, it erodes the actual hull plating away somewhat slowly, and then also that loosens the weld joints that they use.
And do I know of any kind of metal or technique that could be done differently to maybe give it a more long-lasting desire?
There are other Federation techniques that could be done to help with that.
Okay, then I would like to say to the foreman, I see a structure looks pretty sound, but the facing is what's getting worn out. If you'd like, I can give you some ideas of what we do that might make this last a little bit longer, and that way you won't have to use it. You won't have to fix it as often.
Well, I mean, that might help if you're giving us this technology, and I mean, I don't have much to offer you in worth of trade.
That's okay. We are here to help, and I'll turn to the commander. I'll say, Commander, if that's okay with you.
Well, we are here to help, Marora, so do everything that you can to make sure the structure's sound.
Yes, sir. And then I guess I
And
will work with the foreman.
So, for this, give me a presence plus engineering difficulty 2, and that is to kind of coach the workers on where they need to seal properly, what, the different techniques um, for proper weld joints that would make the structure more sound and whatnot.
Sure. Just because I want to make sure I do this, I want to use one momentum to buy an extra dice.
Okay. And you get the
Perfect.
momentum back. And yeah, you're able to coach them.
Okay, so I'll say to Commander, Commander, it's going to take a little while. If you want to leave me here and do some more exploring, I'll be fine.
Degras is going to look at the construction workers and the foreman and look back at Marora and say, okay, be sure to contact me at the first sign of any trouble, though.
Yes, sir.
And Yakri, you said you needed certain bolts?
Yeah, self-sealing stem bolts.
Self-sealing stem bolts. Okay. I'll be sure to discuss with the governor.
And maybe some deuterium if you got it.
Well, we'll certainly see what we can do. And Degras is going to turn and continue walking.
All right.
Well, before that, actually, he's going to tap his communicator and go, Degras, the captain, to the Monarch, I guess.
Monarch here.
Captain, And Degras will give a brief status update about, you know, what they've seen so far and what they've discussed with the governor. And then he's going to say, and Captain, we'd appreciate any help that you could give with the governor. He seems to be quite stubborn and quite proud, and getting him on our side might produce a lot of dividends towards going to help these people. He might become a roadblock for us in the future. So any help you could provide, maybe as the counselor mentioned to me earlier, a trip to the Enterprise, just to show him around and try to establish good relations with him and
Well,
improve his view of Starfleet.
she chuckles a little. I don't think I can wager the Enterprise, Commander, because I believe they are quite.
Monarch. I'm going to retcon that. Sorry.
Aw, no jokes. Um, you might have to be able to convince him on that yourself, there, Commander. There's not a whole lot I can do from up here on the ship. It is your mission, after all.
Understood, Captain. Degras out. And Degras will continue walking.
All right. Back with the other group.
I would also, really
Oh.
quick, I'd just like to also call up to engineering and just have them in the process. In the meantime, get a inventory of our bolts and the deuterium, so we can kind of get an idea of what we can do with
So,
it.
more, just to give you clarification of deuterium, it is used for antimatter reactors.
Oh,
So
okay, that's what I thought.
the warp core runs off of it a little bit.
Well, at least get an inventory of the stem belts.
You probably have plenty. If not, you can
Yeah,
replicate the stuff too.
Okay, before the commander walks away, I will let him know we have plenty of stem bolts that we can give away, but the deuterium might be an issue.
Well, I figured it would be Marora, but didn't want to say no to his face, so do what you can. And thank you.
Will do.
All right. For the other group, you walk around. You eventually find the sort of agricultural district. It is actually outside of the colony walls itself. You notice a very sprawling field of not so much grown fruit, fruit and vegetables.
Did he tell us to stay within the colony walls? Like it was in the colony proper?
The governor didn't say anything about that.
No, I thought Degras did.
Degras did not mention that.
I'll take some scans of what they're growing. Also on the way over, I'd take scans of any damaged buildings and things like that.
I'll communicate to Degras to let him know where we are, and let him know that we got somewhere with a clinic that gave us a list of provisions, but all provisions have to be, approved through the governor. So we're gonna have to make some leeway with the governor at some point. But we do have a working list, and I'll let him know where we're at and where we're heading, so that way he knows where we are.
Acknowledge, counselor. Continue to be in contact, and Degras will also let the counselor know where he currently is, and let him know that Marora is currently helping out a construction crew and advising on how to improve the building structure, and that he plans to return to Marora very shortly.
Just perhaps if we could get a little time, just with the governor, a dinner, something, just to be able to talk to him further. Maybe we can do some better convincing.
That's an excellent idea. We'll see what he thinks about that.
All right. For the scans of the fields, that is a reason plus science difficulty of 1. Are you there, Nunan?
Yeah, I'm sorry, just setting it up. Quick question. What the complication range is 2?
It'd be set to 1. That is the default. The complication range will always be 1 unless the GM says otherwise. The difficulty itself is 1, which means you need 1 success out of the, because you'll be rolling 2 dice, which is your base, unless you're assisting. In this case, you're not. That is a complication. You do succeed.
Okay.
So, I could use the complication, or you can buy it off with the 5 momentum that you currently have by spending 2 of that.
Do we want to buy off momentum or accept the complication?
You can buy it off if you want. You can use some momentum.
Yeah, I'll use the momentum.
All right. You go down to 3. In the field, they're growing various Cardassian, or attempting to grow various Cardassian fruits and vegetables. They do appear some yields out of it, but it seems that they're having more or less an irrigation issue, and not able to grow a certain amount of food that they're trying to grow.
Looking at the crops in general, does it look like it's an engineering issue or more a choice of crops issue? Like, are the crops just poorly suited to the environment, or is it that their irrigation system is woefully insufficient, even though the crops can withstand the environment if they're given enough water?
It's a little bit of both. Like, the soil doesn't have the right nutrients in it to provide ample growth because it is a very arid area. But the plants that they are trying to grow is suited. It's just the soil is more not as fertile as what they would like it to be.
Okay, so some fertilizers and a better irrigation system would solve it.
Yep.
Okay. I will relay this to the team with me and yeah, just give voice to the fact that the crops are failing because the soil is of poor quality and there's insufficient irrigation. We could probably make some fertilizer pretty easily with the replicator on the ship, and the irrigation system would require a consultation from engineering.
I'll let her know that's great work. I'll let her know that's great work. Add it to the list.
A certain individual brushes himself off, approaches you guys. What brings Starfleet to this humble place?
She'll look to Degras. Not Degras, I'm sorry, Casey. And then if he doesn't say anything, she'll quickly say, just we're here to provide aid for the colony. The best that we can.
I see. And I'm assuming you came in one of those fancy Federation ships you all boast about.
She nods her head. She says, but we're having a little difficulty, she says, with the governor in getting approval to help the people. And I want to gauge his thoughts of what he's, his feelings of what he feels about the
In,
response to that.
indifferent. His thoughts are more
Okay.
preoccupied with his crops.
We definitely could help you with your crops, as the lieutenant has been explaining to us. We could provide a lot of aid with the crops, she says, if we could convince the governor to let us help.
Well, if you can find a new source of water, that would be appreciated.
She looked to Nadan to write that one down.
I'll
And
note it down on a. I assume we've got like data pads or something to take notes on with us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's a lot,
I'll
a
just
lot. I'm sure there's a lot of things that we could help you with. She says it's just the politics of it. She says it's all very
Well,
sensitive, and everyone's been through a lot. So
tend to stay out of politics. That's how people get killed.
have people gotten killed here in the colony? She says for
Mm, it's a figure of speech, Starfleet. I don't know what it's like with the Federation, but if it's anything like with the Cardassian people, talking radical about politics will sometimes get you brought into a dark alley and killed.
well, she says we don't want to do anything radical other than help the people. She says, and we could really use some help when it comes to the governor. Is there anything you could tell us about the governor?
Sorry, no, there's nothing I can tell you.
Well, it's going to prove very difficult, she says, to be able to help you with your crops. She looks around. Unfortunately, we'll do our best. But I was hoping that you could tell us something.
I'm sorry I can't be much more help to you.
Do you know if there's anybody that can in the
Uh,
colony?
Dr. Niski?
Dr. Niski, she says. Is that a friend of his?
You already met her.
I know, but I'm playing stupid.
She's the most open-minded person here. If anything, she'll know more about the governor than I can tell you. I mostly tend to these fields.
I see, she says. Do you have any trouble outside of the walls, being outside the walls with your crops? I know that
There's
is there
always
anything that,
there's always trouble outside the walls. Suggest you mind your own business on that. Something we can't handle.
okay, does he seem worried about that at all, or
No.
he's just pretty closed off? Okay. She nods her head. Does it look like there's any, like, wild animals or anything like that in the area?
No.
Okay, so can I roll kind of an insight roll to try to understand what maybe he's talking about? If it's the only question I really want is whether or not it has to do with people or if it has to do with some sort of external threat to the colony.
Give me insight security difficulty 3.
Okay, cool. I'll spend a momentum. Uh, I'm psychology, investigation. Any of this help?
No.
Nope.
I don't really notice anything out of the ordinary.
Okay. I'm gonna assume that it's. I'm gonna assume that it's.
I mean, there's a lot
I'm
of
gonna assume anything.
people. There's a lot of
I'm gonna
people
say, is there?
working in the fields. People, working on irrigation and whatnot. So
I want to gauge his emotions when I blatantly ask him. Are there any groups of people that stay outside of the colony, outside of the walls?
he just kind of looks at you. That's something you just need to talk to the governor with about. It's none of my business. I mean, other than space travelers or traders coming here looking to do business, which we have nothing to
You get a
offer
lot of
them.
that, she says.
No, we do not.
So there's nobody outside the walls then, she says.
Look, I don't have time to be interrogated by you. I have work to be done. We're fine.
She nods her head, she smiles at him. Of course. She'll look at Casey. And then look at Nadon and say, we probably should be heading back. She says, we got good information here too, thanks to your scans.
Thanks. Sounds good. I don't think there's anything else I can scan in this immediate area, so sounds like a plan.
I'll message Degras, say we're on our way back to meet him. We've gotten some information about the agricultural portion of the colony. So we got at least two things to work with, agriculture and medical things.
Understood, counselor. Can't wait to hear what you've been able to find.
Okay, she says if you don't mind, we'll head back towards you guys, wherever you guys are. And then she'll inquire to where they are, if he's cool with that.
Well, counselor, if you wouldn't mind, let's actually meet outside of the governor's residence. We can exchange notes while we're there.
Okay. We'll head there then, Commander. Thank you. And she'll make her way there. The group being a little, she's gonna look over her shoulder, make sure there's nobody. She wants to see if there's anybody following her. Can I do that? Now that we've been walking around for a while, can I take a look around, see if there's anybody like trailing us or?
No, there's no one trailing you.
Okay, cool.
So I would assume all of you meet up outside the governor's residence.
Real quick, did Degras see anything else before rejoining Aurora?
Nothing other than what you saw walking now. Like some of the buildings are kind of in disrepair, and they need upkeep.
Okay. And yeah, he'll go back to the governor's residence after he makes sure that Aurora is finished with his task.
Yeah, if I'm finished, I will also join them.
Cool.
If you want to save time, I'll just say that they relay what we found as far as the agricultural stuff, and let them know that
He's role
Don
play it
was
out.
really helpful with that. Oh, okay then. Cool. She'll walk up to him, wearing her boots. She's wearing a uniform down there on the surface. Casual. She's wearing a uniform with a skirt. She's got boots on, made for walking. She walks up to the Goss, and she says, "It's good to see you."
Likewise, counselor. What were you able to find?
She says, "Well, Nadon's been very helpful." She says, with her experience in agriculture, she says she's really been helpful with understanding what the issues are with some of the crops and how we can aid them. It seems that they need water, and there's a few other things. She has all the notes. She's can speak about it more knowledgeable than I can. She says, and of course I did fill you in, she says, before on the situation with the medical clinic. It just seems like the only thing that's really holding us back is the governor himself finding a way to convince him. The people seem to be pretty closed off and dedicated to their work. Of course, this wasn't going to be easy, she says. But I think I have an angle. I've been thinking about it, Commander.
Say more, counselor.
Perhaps there's going to be many colonies like this, and some of them are going to rise, she says, from their low points that they're at. She says the ones that rise faster than others are going to gain influential power and become more important than others. This, of course, is a people that have gone through a war and through shame and very prideful people. She says, but pride can be used, she says, to help them rise back on their feet. If the governor can be convinced that the faster this place rises on its feet, the more prominent it will be in in the Cardassian community, she says. And that we can help him in his, re-rise to power, she says, in some ways. Maybe he'll be willing to allow us to help. If not for his people, maybe for his own pride of being able to be influential again.
Well, counselor, I had probed at that a little bit during our first conversation with the governor. He, to me at least, didn't seem to be too worried about personal career advancements. Seemed to think that he was going to be here forever, but maybe I'm certainly not a diplomat, and so maybe that's something you might have more success with. And so I encourage you to probe a bit more and see if that's something that we can communicate to him better.
Yeah, maybe the clinic, she says. He doesn't seem to have any family. At least I've been told that he doesn't have any family. so you really can't pull on those strings, she says. But it's going to be a slow process. It could be a very slow process. She looks around.
Well,
But
I doubt.
maybe,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
maybe conceding some ground, maybe giving him a little power, making him feel a little bit more comfortable with us, uh, will help, she says, rather than us coming to him with, we have a mission to do, and gosh darn it, we're going to do it. More like, maybe we can get him talking, monologuing about this place, to learn more. She shrugs her shoulders.
Well, that's exactly what I had in mind. And to be quite honest, along those lines, I think you're exactly correct, and I think that I think he would be a lot more open to our help if he thought that he was taking it from us, as opposed to us giving it to him willingly. So we'll see what we can do.
She looks at Nadon and she says, "What do you think, Lieutenant?"
In terms of the what needs to be done or how to do it, I'm not sure what the question.
Any way you think we could convince the governor? She says, anything that we might not be saying?
From what I can tell, he seems quite prideful, and his people seem quite prideful. People who are prideful, generally speaking, don't want to feel as though they're forced into a situation where they have to accept charity. Some way to give them ownership in the process of rebuilding would be probably more agreeable to them than us coming in and rendering aid from on high.
Degras is going to turn and say, "Well, Aurora, Casey, I'd love your thoughts before we go back in there and speaking to the governor."
I'm better with machines than I am people, sir. I have nothing to give you.
Fair enough, she smiles. Truthfully, she says, once we are able to open up the diplomatic aspect, she says, you guys will be doing probably more work than we will. She'll smile at the both of them. She'll look back at Degras.
How long was my mic muted there?
Forever.
A long
So
time.
I have been talking to you guys.
It's like the last half hour.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay.
Did we miss anything? Or did you want to catch us up on stuff that you said, or?
Oh, I've just been making normal Casey comments. Nothing significant, no.
Cool. Counselor, were you going to say something?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Yeah, so sorry, I didn't know if you were going to say something or if you were ready to go.
No. No, I mean, yeah, she'll just repeat to him that maybe the clinic might be a place that we can gently pull on as far as a string. But I don't know, maybe we can convince him to give us some time. He didn't seem too enthusiastic about getting away from the atmosphere. She doesn't know. She's gonna have to probe him. She's gonna need some time to kind of gently probe him psychologically.
Well, yeah, Counselor, this is your strong point. So I'm going to be relying on you to do a lot of the probing and a lot of the analysis. So be prepared. And Degras is going to turn and
She puts her hand on his shoulder real quick. There's another thing. It's cheesy, she says, but there's the good cop, bad cop thing. She says we could see how far we get, and then one of us, namely you, she says, since you're the commanding officer, saying this is something that we have to do, I could play the good guy, she says, and maybe it'll warm up to one of us. I hate to
all
do
right.
that. She says, I hate to do that. She says, but it might be kind of a last resort.
No, you're right. That's not in either of our natures to play bad cop, but I'll I'll try it on for size. Just give me a signal when you don't think that you're getting anywhere, and we're we're going to launch into it.
I'll scratch my nose, sir. She says,
Sounds good, counselor. All right, team. Round 2, and with that, Degras enters the governor's building.
You approach the government building. The two guards kind of halt you from like, hold on. He pulls out a scanner, scans each and every one of you. You know, kind of looking at every, trying to eye you. Leave your weapons here.
Degras is going to shrug and say, I'm sorry, I don't understand. We were able to carry our weapons earlier. Has anything changed?
The governor is enjoying his meal. I don't want you to. Don't want any surprises.
Oh, but a good phaser blast to your meal is an excellent spice.
you could warm it up, she says.
Ha ha ha. Funny, Starfleet. Please relinquish your weapons.
She'll look at DeGrasse.
Degras will begrudgingly order the team to relinquish their weapon. We are guests on this planet after all, and Degras is going to size up one of the guards and say, we have to begin trusting each other sooner or later. Now, please, can you guide me to where the governor is enjoying his meal?
Of course. And once you relinquish your weapons, your phasers, that is,
They kidnap you.
yeah.
Instantly vaporizes.
He guides you to the governor's office where he's sitting at his desk enjoying a meal. Appears to be an egg of some sort, some canar, as well as some sort of stew. You do notice, though, in the corner, there's to be another humanoid figure, but it's definitely not Cardassian. They're wearing some sort of rags, and it appears to be a collar around her neck. He goes, "You may go. Thank you, Anir. Welcome back."
Do we know? Just out of curiosity, do we know what species?
You do not recognize the species.
I'm assuming they're humanoid.
They are humanoid. They look surprisingly very similar to human. Um,
We haven't seen any of them inside the colony.
no. You do notice like there's a different like almost like tattoos across her face, or could be, may not be tattoos, but markings. Uh, could be, part of her species, or it could be some tribal type thing.
I'll say out loud when we're in his presence. Oh, more of them, she says.
Is there a problem?
No, she says, I was just curious to know what species they were, she says.
You're referring to the natives of this planet.
Yes, she says, we were outside the walls, she says. And, well, she says, imagine there's much more of them.
Eh, they give us trouble from time to time, but they do make excellent servants.
She'll glance at Degras.
Degras is going to glance at her.
And then I'll glance back at him. And I looked at him. And he looked at me.
Degras is going to say, tell me, Governor, have you sought the help of this species the entire time the colony has been here?
What do you mean?
Well, based on the collar around that one's neck, it seems like she might not be completely willing. I was wondering if this has been taking place since the beginning of the colony, or if this was recent.
Oh, it's been for a while.
Surely, if you have to collar them, she says they must be a real problem.
It's to maintain obedience.
Are they naturally dangerous? Degras says.
Oh, they are very easily become timid after some techniques. She's perfectly harmless. You have nothing to fear. I assure you of that. Would you care for something to
Degras.
eat? How about, would you like a Tesper egg? Or I can get you some Shimha stew.
Sounds nice. She says, are you welcoming us all to your table? She says, I know that there's quite a few of us. She looks back at the group.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. More the merrier.
Casey says, I'm not hungry, thanks. In a passive aggressive tone, obviously.
Degras is going to let that one slide and say, we'd love to join you for your meal. I've never had Casper eggs. I've heard of Ragava eggs, though. Are they similar?
No, you eat them raw. They're most delicate when they're raw. Lieutenant Commander, not many can
Lovely.
stomach them. They are kind of a delicacy among my people, but I'm willing to share. He kind of
Maybe there's something that's more.
snaps his finger, and then motions like with doing some hand signatures. And then the lonely slave walks away.
Maybe there's something
Degras is going to
more suitable to our delicate stomachs. She smiles. What would you recommend?
The stew is quite good. It's made from the garden. Well, the field that you saw.
Perhaps 2 stews.
Well, if you don't mind laying out a selection of different things, I'm sure we would like to give our crew the opportunity to try all of your delicacies. And Degras is going to turn to the counselor and just sort of under his breath, outside of earshot, say, what was she feeling? I'm assuming the slave was a she. I think you said that.
She says,
Fear.
she says, I would assume she's fearful. And she tell them.
All right, so without further ado, Degras is going to take his seat and beckon the rest of the crew to join.
She'll sit down. She'll look over at Trolloc. She says, have you ever tried bok choy soup? She says, it's really good.
I've never had it before.
I like soup. I like stew too, she says.
Yeah. A few moments pass by. His servant brings out plates containing a sort of a vegetable type stew, placing them on the in front of you. She also sets several glasses and pulls a rather thick coffee-like substance, like the black look.
Do we have our tricorders with us?
And then she also places, it's kind of like on a little bit of a pedestal, an egg at each one of the plates. Yeah, you do have your tricorders.
Alright, I want to pull mine out and scan her right in front of everybody. And I don't want to make it look like I'm doing it like hiding wise. I'm just going to do it right in plain sight in front of everybody.
What are you scanning for?
I want to scan to get a good layout of this species. If we know what they are, if we don't know what they are, that's fine. It's just going to give me a framework to be able to locate them on the planet maybe later on or something. I just kind of want to scan her to get information about her as much as possible.
Reason plus medicine, difficulty of 1.
Hey, got the 1. Sweet.
It is definitely a humanoid species. The Starfleet has never encountered them. She appears to be malnourished. There are several bruises on her body.
It's mostly to figure out, like, just to get kind of a genetic makeup, so that way maybe
Right.
later on we can scan the planet, not to like figure out like if she's
Yeah, but that's part of the
injured or whatever.
scan. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure that I didn't lose that part.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's part of the scan.
All right, cool, awesome. She's malnourished. No,
Malnutrition.
Ed.
And you can kind of hear the audible tone where as she's painting the plates out, you can hear her stomach growl a little bit.
Okay. Does Trolloc look over at me at all when I do that?
No.
Then
But you do get a little sense of he feels insulted.
Okay, well then she says to Degras kind of quick. She says, I don't want to get sick. She says, who knows what she has. These away missions. She kind of like rubs her head like, she hates being on disgusting planets. Kind of looked at her face.
I understand, Counselor. Degras will turn to the governor and say, my counselor here has a weaker immune system, so you'll have to forgive her.
I'm Delton. She's part Delton, she says, and tastes and smells can be quite vivid, she says. Sometimes so can illnesses. She looks over at Trolloc.
He just kind of ignores you as he's eating.
There's a
He
there's a lot of people. She says at the clinic. She says, "You sure these species aren't making people sick?"
I assure you that is not the case. As he takes a little utensil and cracks the egg a little bit, peels off the shell, and then kind of just drops the substance of the egg in his mouth.
Degras, without hesitation, is going to do the exact same thing.
Has Degras ever had this before?
He's gonna eat the egg.
Degras has not had this before.
All
And if
right.
you guys remember from like the second episode, Degras has a pretty weak ass stomach as well.
It's definitely not Tellarite.
Real quick, I'm gonna post this in Discord just to show you what the egg looks like on the inside.
I figured it was the one that Picard had to
Yes.
shoot back. So
It's like balut. It looks like balut, dude. Does it actually have a
Yeah.
chick in it?
Kinda.
Oh, that's nasty as hell. Balut is gross.
So, it's give me a fitness plus medicine difficulty
God.
of 2.
Okay. Does my survival focus apply to this?
Sell me on it.
That's a pretty good one.
Well, in survival situations, in order to survive, in many cases, you have to be willing to eat anything and everything to get energy. Dirty stream water, live animals, insects, all sorts of things. So it isn't so much the psychological aspect of what he's trying to put down. It is the physical aspect of what he's trying to put down.
Okay. Sure, I'll allow it.
Okay. So I'm gonna take a momentum. Roll an extra die. Here goes nothing. What was the difficulty?
2.
God damn it.
Throws
Okay.
a friendly counselor.
You you hold the egg, you eat the egg, the contents in there. It does not taste too pleasant to you, and you're having very much trouble stomaching the contents of the egg. You feel very sick to your stomach. For the you have an increased complication range of 1 for
Okay.
the remainder of the scene.
All right, that's fine.
you're feeling ill from eating the egg, and
Fair enough.
your face is you kind of flushed a little bit.
I'm not actually eating the stew, by the way. I'm just playing with it like an anorexic woman. Just kind of, you know.
Casey is still not hungry for slave stew.
Does anyone want to else temper to eat the Taspar egg?
Does it catch his eye? Does Trollic, does he actually look over?
He looks
Does it
look
capture him at all? You know,
he
as
looks
trying
a
his
little
cuisine.
amused at Degrasse's reaction to it.
I think Aurora would probably try the egg.
All right.
I will.
Both of you need to make a fitness plus medicine difficulty of 2.
She's passing, I think. It's just him.
If anyone passes on it, they don't make the check. But if you decide to eat the egg, it's a fitness medicine difficulty 2.
This is like my worst roll.
Got this, dude.
Yeah.
All right. Mora, you suddenly feel the urge to find the nearest wash closet or somewhere because you feel like you're about to throw up after consuming the
Alright.
contents of the egg.
I start making those sounds that cats make when they have a hairball, and I will quickly leave the room.
Degras is going to turn to Casey and say, Casey, follow him.
Yes, sir. With pleasure.
Not everyone has the stomach for task bars. I find them quite enjoyable.
Degras is going to turn and say, I do too, actually. Very unique flavor.
Care for some Kanar, Lieutenant Commander, to wash it down?
And Degras is going to pick up the container and look at it and say, and what is this?
It's a delicacy among my people.
Is it alcoholic?
It is. So Kanar is a Cardassian liquor, which varies in color and somewhat thick in consistency. Like it's almost like drinking tar.
Degras will say, I would be happy to try this, sort of unsuredly, and he's going to put his lips up to the glass and mime like he's taking a sip, and put the glass back down.
So
Counselor will
you
close
don't
her
take
eyes and say a prayer for him.
you don't take a sip of it, or do you?
I'm miming like I
Oh,
took a
miming,
sip.
yeah.
You know, sort of a polite thing, just to, you know, mime it.
You do smell when you do smell from it. It smells pretty repulsive, at least to you.
Okay, well, we made the right decision. Degras is going to turn to his crew and turn to the governor and say, well, Governor, we took your invitation to look around the colony a little bit, and we spoke to a few of the colonists. You seem very well regarded amongst the people.
That's good to know.
We had the chance to visit a clinic, looked at some of the construction work and various things here, and although you're well regarded, we did notice that in a few instances, more than a few instances, people didn't seem to be getting the materials that they needed.
Well, we were at war. Supplies don't always come.
She says you would probably look pretty remarkable to them. She says if you could make the supplies come, she says.
I do try my best. Even in matters of when during the war, I managed to keep everyone here safe.
A lot of the colonies, she says, in nearby space, she says, are receiving aid from the Federation. It won't be long before they start standing up on their 2 feet again fully. This colony could definitely profit, she says, from having the same sort of aid.
Arrogant fools.
Degras is going to say, the other colonies, arrogant fools?
There's nothing that the Cardassian people cannot do as long as they stand together.
And just the same, she says some of the other colonies are accepting aid from the Federation, and those local governors are becoming quite powerful because of it. This is really good as she thumbs her
And
spoon through it.
power at the hands of the Federation. The next thing you know, we will be under your thumb doing your bidding.
This is true, she says, but maybe they're the smart ones. She says maybe they don't want to appear like they're receiving aid from the Federation.
Degras is going to cut in and just say, power is power, the law of the land. Counselor might be right.
The people don't seem very accepting of our help. To be truthful, she says, the people are less than enthusiastic that we're here. But help from you, they might actually. Well, of course they would. She says, any help from you, from their leader, from their governor. She says, they might hold you in high regard. She says, even, dare I say, worship you, she says, as a great leader.
Degras is going to follow up and say, Governor, do you plan to stay here for the rest of your life on this colony?
Where am I to go? A shambled homeworld? Or here in the muck with my people where I can build an empire?
Well, that is admirable. But to build an empire with a homeworld that's in shambles doesn't seem like there's going to be too much material coming very soon. Isn't that right?
I know people. I'm able to get the supplies my people need. Granted,
Degras.
not
Oh,
the
go ahead, sorry.
quantity that they require at times.
Is it really about what they need? Isn't it more about what you want, she says? Needs only fit in the meantime, she says. To thrive, you need more than what you need.
What I want, you cannot provide.
Degras is going to raise an eyebrow and say, indulge us.
Perhaps it's more Kanar. She looks over at Degras. She smiles
Degras
at
is
him.
going to say,
I can
well,
always get Kanar.
Maybe it's more of the stew, or what do you call this egg thing again?
Taspar.
Caspar. She says, maybe it's more Caspar. I don't know. She says, I don't know much about the Cardassian people, to tell you the truth. She says,
Then why are you here?
because I have orders to be here.
Degras is going to look at the governor and say, Governor, you haven't been able to repair this colony in a year, 2 years. Things are still falling apart. People are sick. You haven't been able to make any headway. How long do you think the Cardassian government is going to stand for a governor that can't rebuild their colony after several years? How do you think this looks for you? If you plan to be here for the long term, my understanding of Cardassian culture says that you better start producing results. Cardassian Empire does not suffer failures for very long. And he puts an emphasis on failure. And he scratches his nose quickly.
With that, give me a presence command. Difficulty is 3.
Okay.
And I assist. Yeah, what he said.
At increased complication range.
Yep. So,
Allow him to do his thing. I won't assist him.
so I have a focus on persuasion.
That will apply.
Awesome.
You have one momentum.
Okay, I'm going to burn that momentum to get an extra die, and then is it 2 threat to get a 4th?
Yes. Unless
will
you
take
wish
that.
to use your determination.
Yeah, actually, let's do that. That'll give me the 2 die, and then be a success.
You get so determination. When you spend determination, it counts as rolling an automatic critical success. So you get 2 successes. It does count as though you used 1 dice. You do have a value. I will take spirited debate is a good debate.
Good stuff. That's the one I was
to
going to use.
buy any more dice though, it is if you want to roll 3 dice, it's going to cost a momentum and a threat. If you wish to roll 4, it's going to cost 1 momentum and 4 threat.
So I only need 1 success after using my determination.
Right.
So I'll roll 1 extra die, take it up to 3.
Okay.
And we'll see what happens.
Got it.
Barely.
No momentum gained. I see your point, Lieutenant Commander. Very well. Whatever assistance my people require, you are free to do so.
Actually, Governor, as we mentioned before, and he's going to motion to the rest of his party, people seem very proud and determined, which is a very noble trait. However, pride can turn into stubbornness very quickly. They'll need to know that Cardassians, yourself, have requisitioned this aid from the Federation. We're afraid that they're not going to be receptive to this and use this aid, and if they're not receptive to this and make use of this, then, well, we're afraid that's going to reflect badly on you as well. So we'd appreciate any help you could provide there.
Very well. I will fill out the required recreation forms for you.
Splendid. Fantastic. And as you know, Starfleet is nothing if not observant. We noticed that you have a perimeter set up around the city. Are things dangerous beyond the walls?
Only when they decide to attack, they can be, but nothing we can't handle.
I see. Well, this has been an absolutely pleasant meal. Degras is going to turn to the group, turn back to the governor, and say, Governor, we really appreciate your hospitality. We've gathered a list from the people. We're going to report back to our ship and see how much of this list we can provide.
Very well.
Thank you. And turning to the rest of the crew, Degras will motion and walk out.
As you're getting up and ready to walk out, one of the guards comes in. You can hear the outside as the door opens, alarm going off. Governor, we're under attack. The natives are funneling in. They appear to be using some sort of primitive grenade. Part of the village is caught on fire. And he stands up. What are you doing, you fool? Get the perimeter defenses online right now. He goes, for your safety, I suggest you stay here. This is the safest spot here. I have other things to attend to.
Perhaps we should return to our ship. She looks over at Degras. Things are unstable here.
They certainly appear that way. Degras is going to turn to Casey and say, Casey, what do you think?
I could stay behind and monitor the situation. One person might be a little less conspicuous than the entire away team, but that's at your discretion, sir.
I'm hesitant to leave only one member of the team down here.
We could always monitor from the ship. Commander, she looks over.
As you're talking, the room shakes violently as you feel a tremor, and you can hear the sound of large explosions.
Degras is going to turn to the governor and say, Governor, the situation
He's
doesn't
not in
appear to
the
be under
room.
control.
He left.
Oh, he already left?
Yeah.
Damn it.
So nobody's in there, right?
Just one guard.
All right.
Degras is going to turn to the team and say, my first order of business is to ensure our safety in the situation. If we're harmed, makes us incapable of rendering aid. Let's head back to the ship, monitor the situation, and see what we can do about these supplies that they need. Ross is going to communicate with the Monarch. Monarch, away team to beam up.
You hear a lot of static noise. Away team, be advised, there is a planetary shield in effect. We are unable to transport you off the surface.
Understood, Monarch. Thank you. Let us know as soon as it goes down, if it goes down. And then Degras is going to tap his comm badge. Turn to Casey. Casey, do you feel that this is the safest place to be right now?
Difficult to say, sir. We don't really know what's happening, so we have no idea what's going to be the safest area to be.
Well, let's take a look. And so Degras is going to walk with Casey towards the front of the building. Look out.
Are you looking out a window?
Yeah, if there's a window available.
Yeah, there's a window.
Okay.
You look out the window. It's kind of hard to see because you're kind of in the middle of the city. You do see like smoke off in the distance. There's some small explosions. You can hear sounds of like people like screaming. Lots of disruptor weapons fire. And kind of as you look at the window, you see at first it looks like a swarm of some sort, and then because it is kind of dark, and then an arrow hits the side of the building, bouncing off.
Like an old-fashioned bow and arrow?
Yeah, like an old-fashioned bow and arrow.
Okay. Degras is going to turn to the guards, one of the guards in the room, I guess, the only one, and say, where are our weapons?
They'll be returned to you when the crisis is over with. Stay here.
I try
You'll
to-
be fine.
Can I try to persuade that guy?
Can Casey try to intimidate that guy? I don't believe you.
I like to try to persuade him. My female wiles.
Casey prefers knuckle persuasion.
Don't worry, you can punch him right after if it doesn't work.
Awesome.
Porque no los dos.
He, as you, the two of you look at him trying to do various things, he looks very confused and just like, no, you're not leaving here. I'm under orders.
I don't want to leave. I just want to feel safe, she says, and I don't feel safe in this dump. She looks around. She looks back at him. I'd
This
like
is
my
the
weapon back.
safest part of the city. This hull is reinforced. Not to mention, it's in the center of the city. Nothing is getting through the shield.
Surely
You
our
are
weapons are
fine.
just right outside the door in a locker.
Why do you
Safe
need
enough
your
for you,
weapons?
just in case, so I can feel safe. She looks at him. She gets closer to him.
Not a single one of these savages have breached our walls. You'll be fine.
Degras is going to look at the guard and ask, is there anything that we can do to help?
Unless you wish to fight them, there is nothing you can do.
It's hard to fight them without weapons. And you've made that very clear. That we won't get them.
Give me a command plus presence roll.
Oh, God.
Difficulty 1.
All right. Am I still under the increased complication range?
No, it is a new scene.
Awesome. And persuasion as a focus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you get a momentum.
Yay.
Kind of. Very well. He opens the door. Walk out. The other guard's not there. He opens the locker, which was locked. Opens it, hands each one of your weapons. And he kind of points to where the smoke is at. The fighting's over there.
Thank you. And Degras is going to motion to the rest of his team to walk out the door, walk into the streets.
As just outside in the plaza, you do see like some fire. Mainly due to it's not really the buildings where the metal portion of it at. It's more of the ones that are the stucco design.
Okay.
That they built naturally from the landscape. Parts of that's caught fire. There's seems to be some wounded people who've somehow got an arrow in them before the shield went up.
Okay, Marora, you see what you can do about helping out with the structure fires. Anything that you can to make sure that these structures don't collapse and aren't damaged as much as they already are.
I'll do my best.
That's all we can do. Casey, we're not fighting these people. What we're going to do is what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we ourselves are protected, and we need to tend to the wounded. Many of these people are going to be civilians that are wounded, and there's probably going to be a large influx of people that need to be taken care of. So,
May I
let's see what we
recommend
can do.
the clinic? She says, sir.
Well, you read my mind, counselor. Casey, take Nadan. And counselor, would you like to join them?
Where are you going to go, sir?
I'm going to see what I can do to help Marora out. I have a little bit of a knack for engineering, And if any more structures collapse, that could mean a lot more casualties. So I want to make sure that we have that covered.
How chaotic does it look on the street? I mean, is this like rioting and like,
No.
fires burning and people screaming, "Ah, help me!"
No, there are people like they're injured that didn't get into cover fast enough that are lying in the streets, and there's people like other citizens that they're helping them up, trying to get them, towards the clinic. There are crews that are trying to put out the fires using what limited supplies they have. They don't have much use of water, so they're actually trying to use dirt to block take out the fire, keep it from spreading.
Okay, cool. So no exploding rocks. That's good. I will follow the commander's orders and go to the clinic. I will make haste.
Okay. Who's going to the clinic?
Casey, Nadan, and the counselor.
All right. You get to the clinic. There's quite a few wounded. Many of them have arrows in them or big, gashing wounds. Looks like some sort of sword, sliced them. You do notice, like when you're out towards the agriculture or the fields, that several of these are the workers that looked like they were working the fields.
Okay.
And then there's
Well,
a few that have burn marks.
I'll go to Niski and tell her that I have medical training. How can I help? And I want to try to help her.
If you could,
Casey, go ahead.
if you could bandage those people over there, then an individual over there needs checkometry. He's having trouble breathing through his lungs, and she just goes on the list like she's just delegating.
Cool. Can I go and do that? Help somebody at random?
Daring plus medicine difficulty 1. And that's for everybody who's helping, as you go about your ways. So each one of you have a difficulty of 1. Daring plus medicine.
Emergency medicine focus, I'm assuming.
Yes, that will apply.
Very cool.
Burn a momentum. Or use a momentum. And can the Starship Home crew its family, is that good enough to help people out, like see people as like
No.
okay.
No.
Body and mind alike must be healthy.
It
Not on my shift.
Something. It's a daring 1. It's a difficulty 1. So
okay.
You're rolling 3 dice.
I was trying to get momentum for everybody. There's a 0 there, and Cap might be in it in a minute. He might be in it in a minute. Fast ships, strange new worlds. I mean, this is a pretty strange new world.
Can I have that momentum to buy off? That complication.
Okay.
Wait, you can buy off complications with the momentum, can't you?
You can, yes, but there's no momentum currently on the table.
Yeah.
There was one, right? Wasn't there one?
You spent it though, because
okay. Then I'm gonna then let me roll. Then I'll spend it and roll, and hopefully I get him a couple. Hopefully. And I don't.
Casey, your guy, you managed to treat the wound, but there's other problems that stir up. He started going into cardiac arrest. Give me a daring plus medicine difficulty 3.
Okay. So.
What's your medicine?
Medicine 2. I would be looking for somebody who's relatively like who's probably, if you're familiar with first aid triage, probably triage level 2 or lower. I'm not looking for anyone who's going to be too difficult to deal with, just somebody who needs first aid rather urgently.
Well, you rolled reason science, so it was a daring medicine. Essentially, this
Yeah,
was
sorry, I forgot to click on the
yeah.
right one. So I'm gonna re-roll.
Okay.
That's better. Well, not, but it's the right dice pool.
Okay.
So can I start? Go ahead.
So for your guy, Casey, it's a daring medicine difficulty 2. Because he's going into cardiac arrest.
Okay, I'd like to spend a determination. So I have 2 that I think would be valued. I have uphold tradition, which is the Starfleet Academy value. So uphold the traditions of Starfleet of like helping people, whoever you come across. I mean, Casey doesn't like Cardassians that much, but again, it's the tradition of helping everyone. Is that an applicable value?
Sure.
Okay, awesome. 1 determination. And I will generate
There's no momentum.
1 threat for an extra dice.
That would be 2 threat to roll a third dice.
2 to roll a third?
Yes.
Oh.
Because when you use determination for the auto successes, it's counting as if you already rolled an extra dice.
Oh, okay. So.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll generate 2 threat for the 1 extra dice. So 3 dice plus my determination spend with an applicable focus. Cool.
Alright. It was difficulty 2, so you get 3 momentum. Nidan, you can re-roll that by spending your determination if you want. I would say you have a applicable value for this, looking at the value, if you wish to do that, and you can re-roll those 2.
Yeah, I think I will. I assume you mean the setbacks are lessons, not failures value.
Yes. Because
Sounds good.
as you're trying to treat this man who's not as bad as some of the others, he just keeps getting worse.
Well, crap.
Yep. Unfortunately, the man you were working with, even though his wounds did not look as bad, the arrow that pierced him pierced a artery, and he just wasn't gotten to in time, and unfortunately, he dies on the table.
Oh, crap.
Yep.
As for the fires, more. You notice that the fires are, not as widespread. They are doing a good job, but they're not fully utilizing ways to put it out.
Okay, is there anything I can find around that could maybe help me do what I'm to help them put these fires out?
Sorry, I'm trying to remember here. There are right now they're just using sort of like dirt. They're not able to because the water supply is limited in the colony. So they're trying to use dirt to put it out. There are other techniques to put that out possibly, but I'm gonna let you come up with that.
Okay, could I? So I have a value of every problem has a solution. How could that help me?
I mean, it would give you a value to use towards the determination spend. In terms of trying to put the fire out, you need to find a way to starve the oxygen from the fire to keep it from burning. Granted,
Okay.
the method they're using right
Yeah.
now is working. It's just it could cause more structure damage.
Okay. I'd like to figure out if there's a way I could either the ship could do it, or if we can do it locally, to erect some sort of force field around the structure to dampen out the oxygen to put the fire out.
The ship won't be able to help because it has a planetary shield. There's essentially a shield over the complex of the colony right now to protect it.
Are there any kind of localized shield emitters that I could find and grab, or very quickly throw together?
Give me reason plus engineering, difficulty 2. This is for you to essentially create an advantage to potentially put the fire, to come up with a way to put the fire out.
All right, I would like to spend one of the momentum to grab an extra dice.
All right. And you get 2 momentum back. You realize with your if you set your phaser a certain frequency, low power, um, and different modules, that you could create try to mimic the values of a force field and starve the oxygen from the fire using your phaser, essentially in a wide beam.
Okay, I would like to try to attempt that.
All right. You have the advantage in place. This will be a control plus engineering, difficulty 2.
I would also like to try spending another momentum just to give me an extra dice.
All right. Ooh. There, you do succeed, but there is a complication on the table. You have 3 momentum. You can spend.
Yeah, I want to get rid of that complication.
Okay. You set your phaser to the wide beam. You tell the people who are trying to put the fire out to clear the area as you set your phaser to the certain frequency. As you fire the phaser to create the localized kind of effects of a force field over the fire, and it slowly dies out as it drains your phaser power to near depletion.
Okay, is there any other fires that need to be taken care of, or is that the main one?
Uh, no, that was the main one, and this one was closer to the outer walls.
Okay. Then I'll let the commander know that the fire has been put out.
Excellent work, Aurora. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
If Starfleet doesn't work out for you, you might have a career in firefighting in your future.
Yeah, fire and fur do not mix very well.
Glad you can take a little bit of good teasing. So GM, does it look like everything's under control as far as the fire goes?
Yeah. We'll speed up time a little bit here. Go to the next scene. During that time, as you're battling the fire there, Maura, you notice that the individual you talked to, the foreman that was in charge, is being carried off towards the clinic. He does appear to have severe burns on him. Seems like he got kind of caught in the middle of whatever device that we used to catch the building on fire. For the most part, the shield comes down. You can hear the Cardassians kind of give like a victory, you know, how you indicating that the battle is over with.
I'm gonna cheer with them. Woo.
So it's just Degras and Marora
Yeah,
at this
where you're
point?
currently at, yes.
Okay. Okay. So Degras is going to mention to Marora that we should head to the clinic as quickly as possible to make sure things are under control there as well. And we'll make way.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
All right, you make your way towards the clinic. When you arrive, you notice the other three are busily working on injured, as they're helping out with the clinic's wounded. There are a couple what might be, you know, some body bags in a way.
Do we see members of our team there?
Yes, you do see the three members of your team there. They're, you know,
Okay.
helping out inside the clinic.
Okay. Do we see the doctor as well?
Yes, and she looks very busy.
Okay. Well, we're going to leave her alone while she's trying to save lives. DeGrasse is going to walk up to the counselor and say, Webkey, how is everything?
We're helping out the best that we can, she says. But I think a few people have died, she says. As she glances over towards Nadan, concerned for the lieutenant losing somebody.
DeGrasse is going to take the hint and make his way over to Nadan. Say, Nadan, reports.
In on what, sir? There's been a lot going.
I understand. I was asking for a report specifically on your thoughts here at the clinic. Do you think everything's going to be under control?
Once the number of critical patients is down around the level that actually competent medics can take care of them, then I believe so, sir.
So does Nadan seem upset at all, or does she seem like pretty steeled up and like she's holding it together?
I would say pissed off, but keeping.
Okay.
Maybe Prax, maybe she could use a rally from our commanding officer.
I don't think it's necessary at this point.
Okay.
Do I have that ability? Or is that a Prax only ability?
You do have that ability as the away team commander.
Gotcha.
It's not in combat right now, so anything
Okay.
you say
Point
is
taken.
it's all RP. So there's
Gotcha.
no roll.
I have a
Gotcha.
question. If it was while we were fixing these people, like the daring medicine, does that like dictate combat? Like if it was like if we were like in a situation where we're like, you know, helping these people,
Yes, in combat
could he do that?
it's the same role. It's for
Okay.
treat injuries in a way. Like on the field, it's a daring plus medicine. Partially is because you guys are working with whatever tools you have. So and there's a lack of
Sure.
tools in this equipment, which
Makes
there
it
would
daring.
be an increased difficulty in it if you were treating someone harder that was more injured. But
Hmm.
you got some of the more not as injured people, like, or at least you thought you did, at least looking at them. But in Don's case, the man was more severely injured than what people thought he was.
Unless they got some Kardashians and dead Kardashian storage. Oh, it's funny.
Um,
Okay.
a few moments pass by, and a guy comes rushing into the clinic. Doctor, have you seen Yak? Where and it's like he has to get to the reactor. There's a problem with the reactor. As he's panicking.
Degras is going to look at him and go, reactor? Where is
Yeah,
this reactor?
the power plant, the antimatter reactor that we used to power the colony and the shield and everything else. It's that
Degras is going to say, does Degras notice the Yakri?
yeah, he's on
is
a
injured or
bed and he is badly burnt. Like he's not going anywhere.
okay. Degras is going to turn to Marora and say, well, you think you can handle a reactor?
I was made to handle reactors.
Yeah.
That's what I love to hear. All right. Degras is going to order Marora. Well, before that, Degras is going to turn to the counselor and say, Counselor, we've got to go take care of a reactor. Are you going to be okay here?
Yes, sir. So should be fine.
Okay. Tend to the wounded. Do what you can to help the good doctor here, and we'll be back as quickly as possible. And Degras is going to order Casey, Aurora, and well himself, and say the Yakri is not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. We should be able to deal with this. Take us to the reactor.
Okay. And he bolts out the clinic. I'm assuming you're following him.
We are most definitely.
All right. You follow him towards a section of the city. It's not in the center, but when you get there, you notice that there's a couple people coming out, and they got some burns. Like the one guy's like, you can't go in there. It's and he just kind of falls over.
Does he look like he has any visible burns or anything?
Yes, he has visible burns.
Do they look like fire burns or do they look like radiation? I'm assuming.
They look like radiation burns.
Sorry, I was muted again. Can I like assist him, like first aid?
Give me reason plus medicine. Difficulty of 0.
Okay. I assume emergency medicine again.
No.
Wait, not. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll reroll that.
No, I take
Same
the
result
first.
either way.
Yeah. You do get one momentum out of it. The individual has suffered lethal radiation exposure. It would be beta radiation and some gamma. Like he's not like it's a lethal dose. He's alive.
Can I carry him and sprint to the clinic?
Yes, you can. That's going to be a fitness plus security difficulty of 1.
Commander, can I take this guy really fast?
Don't waste any more time asking about it. Go.
Okay. Fitness security, you said, right?
Yes, difficulty of 1.
Okay, perfect.
All right. You hustle off with the Cardassian fireman carrying him straight towards the clinic. I'm assuming that's what you're using, over the shoulders and.
Yep, just
Hopping
like
in.
fireman carry and sprint.
The Cardassian kind of stops. Like, it looks like, what do we do? This isn't good.
Degras is going to
force field
quickly say,
around-
"Oh,
Sorry, go
yeah, no, go for it, Morora. Go."
Is the force field around the city still up?
It's off.
Then I would like to call up to the ship and see if they can transport down some EVA suits.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Good idea.
Give me insight engineering, Mora.
What's the difficulty?
Difficulty is 0. There is not going to be enough time for you to put on an EVA suit, considering what you just saw.
And I'm assuming I know that this means that things are critical.
Yes, that it is critical. If it's not repaired soon, it is going to explode, and it's going to be very bad.
Then I just run in.
Degras is going to stop Morora first and pull out his tricorder and take a quick scan to get a determination of radiation level.
Is it
reason
good.
plus science difficulty 0.
Is Casey
Alright.
back in that
No.
area yet?
No.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that sensor operations probably would not apply, right?
Yes,
It's more of a ship thing.
Yeah, it's more of a ship thing.
Okay.
Right. Is he going to be the XO to order somebody to their death? I love it.
All right, get a
Part of
momentum
the
out of
job.
that.
Yeah.
I sent you some information.
Now
All
pull the
right.
Spock and go in yourself. Nerf pinch Marora.
Degras is going to turn to Morora and say, as I'm sure you're aware, but my scan has shown, this meltdown is really, really bad. It's going to kill nearly everybody in the colony and potentially render this planet uninhabitable for a really long time.
So why are you stopping me? Sir,
I'm not going to send somebody in there until I know for absolutely sure that how bad it's going to be and exactly what's going to happen if I do it. Are you familiar with this reactor design?
I won't know until I see it.
Guess.
I know enough. I know enough about reactors to know that I can fumble my way through it one way or another.
Or I'm not going to mince words. If anybody goes in there, there's a good chance that they will die, if not be extremely incapacitated.
Are you ordering me not to?
GM, can I make a determination as to whether I would be able to understand this well enough?
You
or is this reactor
understand
design?
I mean, from what you've gathered from the colony so far is that whatever transport they use to get here and to forge this colony, they gutted the transport, and particularly this reactor is probably the warp reactor that was used on the transport. That's what they're using to power the city. The shield generator is most likely the shield generator used around the ship's hull. They modified it in a way to create a sort of colony shield in the just in case type scenario.
So I guess, like, in my best estimation, I wouldn't know how to work on this.
You would not know.
Okay. Degras is going to turn to Aurora and say, be quick. Get it done. Contact me as soon as the reactor's not critical anymore.
I'm going to smile and say, yes, sir, and run.
And FYI, you do realize you are sending him to his death.
I mean, the reactor is going to explode. Based on how everybody was talking, based on how he himself was talking, it's only a matter of time. And based on my tricorder readings, it's going to blow up and kill about everybody else in the colony. So, yeah.
And for the record, I was going to go in whether you told me not to or you did.
Yeah, I was slowing this man down from doing
Dunk
this.
him in the head.
Casey finally had a freaking suicide mission, and he ran off with as soon as he saw a wounded guy.
Casey, to be honest, I was going to send you in first. I'm not sure if it would have worked, but
Okay.
I was going to save him.
All right. So
The
back
hesitation.
on track.
But
So,
GM, yeah, I'm sending him
Mora-
in because there doesn't appear to be another choice.
All right.
As I'm running in, I'm going to yell over my shoulders. We should start evacuating, just in case.
All right. So, real quick. The holodeck simulation ends. The doors open, and Captain Prack steps forward. Commander Degras, you find yourself standing alone inside the holodeck, breathing heavily, I assume.
Yeah, quite heavily. Fairly panicked.
How do you feel,
So,
Commander?
a little shaken, if I have to be honest.
The bridge officer's test does that to everybody.
It was so lifelike. It's amazing, really. You forget that you're there very, very soon after it starts.
Well, you passed all the qualifications. You even upheld the Prime Directive to a degree. And she kind of extends her hand out. Congratulations, Commander Degras.
Degras is going to sigh heavily and shake her hands. Say, thank you. I won't let you down.
Better not, number one. Now go get some rest. You're gonna need it.
Yes, ma'am. And Degras walks out of the holodeck.
Where's Degras going?
Degras is gonna guess that Aurora's down in. Would Degras know if Aurora's on duty right now at this time?
Probably. I mean, you were. So, in retrospect, I did a little bit of a farce, but this was your commander's test, and you were on the holodeck the entire time. No one's lives were
Figured
really in
so.
danger, but I had to, wanted to make you feel that way.
Yeah.
I kept thinking, Prac should kill a couple of us. Make it really real.
Just gonna line him up by the Cardassians. No, I know that's a nice shock. Honestly, I didn't think it was gonna be until next week, but that's cool. But yeah, Degras is going to go down to engineering and see if he can find Aurora.
I'm sure I'm there working on something, on punching away on one pad or another.
Degras is going to walk up to Aurora and say, Lieutenant Commander, just kind of look at him briefly and just ask, how much do you know about Cardassian antimatter reactors?
I'm gonna look at him kind of quizzically and say, well, an antimatter reactor is an antimatter reactor. It's just a matter of what parts go where and who designed the bolts.
Degras is going to smile and just say, carry on, and turn around and walk out, head to his quarters, and just lie down in bed for a little bit.
Free roleplay for anybody who wants to do it.
I will make sure the next time I see him to invite him to lunch and have a little egg waiting there for him. And a beer.
Is there any roleplay that anybody wishes to do?
I'm good.
No.
All right. And
I'm
with
okay.
that, okay. And with that, I think we'll conclude today's session merits.